Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here on another episode of the Truths We Hide podcast. Today's guest is Jackie Coban. She is the founder of tablefor9coaching.com, and she specializes in Enneagram and life coaching. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't know what Enneagram was. So I'm going to have her share her story because it is definitely, you guys know me, I really love to have people on that are ready to share their story because it hits home for a lot of us. So I'm going to have her share her story and then talk about what she does. And yeah, Jackie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. I guess to start at the beginning,
Sure.
really, I don't know that my story is really common, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I don't remember, or I didn't remember really anything that happened in my life up until I was 20 or 21. I'm 26 now.
Mm.
So it was this random big, around 2021, I started getting really sick. I couldn't see out of one eye on random days. I would just get these blinding headaches, like my hormones were out of whack, like all of these different things. And I would go to doctors and they would ask me the same question. Do you feel safe right now? Are you at risk in your home? And I just didn't understand why. And I didn't really understand, that our bodies have a lot to do with what's going on the inside too. And one day I was driving home from college. I was just about to graduate, and I had this memory of, just to get right into it, of being raped by my boyfriend when I was 16. And it was just I had to pull over because I was on a major highway in New Jersey and I was getting beeped at because I was slowing down and I was like, what's happening? But I pulled over to the side of the road, and I had, I think, every step of, every stage of grief all in one moment, because I couldn't decipher if it was like a memory or just like some weird, disgusting daydream, or, should I take this next exit and go to his house and punch him in the crotch? Or like, I didn't really know what to do. And from there on out, memories started coming to the surface, memories of childhood, memories of family doing things to me, of friends and cousins and just different things. And I don't know why I had put it away for so long. And I can't say which is more difficult. I can't say it's more difficult to know and to live with it and to deal with it day by day, or if it comes up. I think they're both different levels of difficult, but it was very hard for me because I got to a point a couple of years later that I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't think I ever knew. I don't have really any memories because my brain is protecting itself. So I don't have any memories of my childhood and really my teenage years, except the hard ones. And if you asked me who I was, I wouldn't know. If you asked me what I liked, I didn't know. If you asked me what made me angry or triggered me, I didn't know at all. It's like I was just a shell of a person. And that's kind of why I got into Enneagram and coaching, so that I can kind of help myself, but also help other people give language to who they are. And in turn, it really helps you put pieces together. And so, it's funny. I went to a counselor when I was about 19, and she said that she thought that I had multiple personalities because I think she said something to the effect of that, like, my compartmentalization was not natural. And I was just so shocked. I was like, are you sure? And then as I got older, I was like, okay, I don't know if she's aware of really how the brain works and how suppressing works and how you really, your brain really just wants to protect itself. But this is kind of what I knew. And you asked me, how did you heal from what you went through? How did you, and it's funny, I literally the other day just cried about what happened to me from my boyfriend when I was 16. That doesn't mean I'm not in the healing process. Like I certainly am. I'm in a great relationship. It just comes and goes. But I think the thing for me was to not just accept that, okay, this happened to me, but to say, this happened to me against my will, but things have come up that now that I have to take responsibility for, so that I can be the best person that I want to be. And I have to put in the work to do that. And so really focused a lot on self-awareness and identifying triggers and communicating. But all in all, it's been a crazy journey, especially because, you know, a lot of health issues have come up, I think, because of hiding the secrets from myself for so long. But the healing journey is day by day. So
that's gosh, you sound so mature. I thought you were older.
I get that a lot. I don't know why.
I see my daughter's 19. She'll be 20 in August, and she's in college. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, like you've been through so much, and you just sound like such an amazing person for being only 26 years old and for being where you are now. And that takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage. So
Thank you.
Gosh, I don't even know you, but I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. You know, I really appreciate that, especially because a lot of times we think that with trauma, the first thing that I had to do was get through to actually communicating it. And that, I think that's why I'm able to say it the way I'm saying it now. But I had some really crappy experiences talking to people about like what was going on in my life, because I didn't get reaction. You know, when you really muster up the courage to discuss with somebody something that you're already ruled by a hidden shame about, it's really difficult when that person's like, are you really remembering it correctly? Because I know that person and it just doesn't sound like something they would do, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
But it takes one good one to really make the difference. And I remember, so at the time, you know, I was raised in a really loud but very strict Middle Eastern family. But we love, like, family is everything, but we had strict rules, strict upbringing, very honor and shame culture. And so when I was 16, and I remember why now, but at the time I blocked it out of my memory that I got raped, and just started acting out. I started going out, I started partying, I started like cursing at my parents. I didn't realize the shift, and they did, and they didn't take it well. And so it wasn't like, hey, what's going on? As most parents, they're doing their best. They're kind of like, you stop right now, or you're going to go live with your dad or live with your uncle, or you're going to go do this. And so once I realized really what had happened, I called my mom and I told her that a huge part of what I was going through was, unfortunately, that you know, she didn't take a long enough look to say, hey, like, I didn't raise her like this. Something had to have happened. And she just took a moment and she was like, I just want you to know that what happened wasn't your fault. And, you know, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that I was doing what I knew and I wasn't sure what else to do. You know, we're all doing our best. And she's, you know, so she's like, one day that's going to be you too. And I knew that, but it took that one good conversation with my mom to inspire me that it actually doesn't matter how somebody else reacts to it. What really matters is that I feel safe in myself to share the story, because someone in the room is going to find it helpful, you know?
Yeah. That's huge. And I'm so glad that you were able to talk to your mom about that, because that's that's a big change. I have not been able to sit down and talk to my mom about everything because I didn't want to hurt her and I didn't know how to explain it. So, and I'm in my 40s. Sometimes it's hard for everybody. So I commend you for doing that. That's huge. Just a huge step to do. And I'm so glad that it was received that way, because it is hard to be a parent. And now that I am one, I'm like,
yeah,
there's no book on this. And so
I know. It's crazy. And candidly, I didn't tell my mom everything. There are some things that I have said I am not going to talk about on a public platform until the day that my mom is not on this earth anymore, just because,
right.
You know, there are some things that I know a parent can't handle. And I know that because I love children that my friends have like my own, and I'm just nope.
Right.
But I told her what, I told her what I felt that she needed to know,
Mm-hmm.
and what was integral in that moment for my healing journey. And it's been like, I see my ex everywhere. We live in the same area. We've got some same friends. I have moments where I'm like, I wake up from a nightmare and I'm like, okay, it was just a dream. It happens.
Yeah.
But I identifying triggers is one thing, but also keeping yourself within a safe place. It's like, I feel like it's like having a car. You're like, oh no, I'm safe. I'm in the car. Like, I'm safe. I'm in the car. I'm locking the door. I'm like, no one can come in here and hurt me. And I created that place within myself. And I think I did that through self-awareness, through being able to communicate and identify and things like that.
That's amazing that you were able to do that. Have you have you spoken to any other counselors to get you to that space, or you just did that yourself?
I haven't seen a counselor since I was told I had multiple personalities. So,
yeah, I can understand.
Right. Which I look back and I've done some study, and it makes sense because that she'd feel that way. I did get a second opinion on that, and they were like, no. But, people who suffer with DID, with dissociative identity disorder, they create those identities to help them dissociate from the trauma they're feeling. So when they feel triggered, that other identity comes up and protects them. So I understood kind of where she was coming from. Okay. In a sense, because I did compartmentalize for so long. But I haven't gone to another counselor formally. I spoke to someone who I know is a counselor, and just briefly said, hey, I think I have, I don't know. I'm like a robot, I guess. I was like, I think I have PTSD. And so I talked to her through it. I'm just very like logical. And so she was like, it sounds like CPTSD, like complex PTSD, which I still don't know what it is, but I was like, fine, I'll take it. But to answer your question, I did it really myself. I mean, I have people along the way who have friends, no one licensed or anything, who've just listened to me talk about what's going on parallel with my journey and what I'm learning right now through self-awareness, and help, just be like my fan club. But really just, I led myself through it. And that's like a huge part of my coaching, is to show people like, I think counseling is of high importance. I think your friend group is highly important. But at the same time, I want you to know that the reason they can help you is because you have the tools inside yourself.
That's really important. And it's so hard for people to come to that and to ask for that help, and to have people like you that can say, I get it. I was there. I know. Yeah. And this is how I did it. And I think that's what helps a lot of people, is being able to speak to someone who's been there and who's real. And not to say that therapists don't help, or counselors. Sometimes different tools help for different people. And sometimes talking to someone who's lived it makes a huge difference. And so right. That's amazing. So how did you come up with Table for Nine? I love that. And Table for Nine Coaching is your website, but how did you come up with that?
So the Enneagram, the personality typing system that I use, basically it focuses on your core fears, desires, and motivations. Like if you are afraid of a certain thing, you kind of live your life shielding yourself from that, which in turn changes how you communicate, what you tend towards, and so on and so forth. So I use that with my coaching, and there are 9 main personality types. And I kind of tell, I have zero tolerance when people around me say like, oh, I just don't get along with this type of person. I just don't get along with this type of person. And I get that. But I also think too, at the same time, if you are self-aware enough, and if you have a good amount of emotional intelligence, just in combination, and you know yourself, you know what sets you off, you can have all 9 types around your table and you're fine, because you know yourself. And so those 9 main types, they're a starting point. There are a lot of variants. because humans are complex. But that's really where it started. I was like, I just want people to feel like they can belong at any table. And I want people to feel like they can have anybody in their lives and not have to gauge what kind of person they are or if they're going to trigger them or anything like that, so that you can, you know yourself enough to know, like, I know me and that's enough for right now.
That's amazing. Now, what age ranges are your clients? Because I think you'd be perfect to go and speak to college campuses and be in that environment. And so, yeah,
So typically, like, one-to-one coaching, I work with people between the ages of 24 to 45 or 50. Really, the reason that is because after that point, they have frontal lobes, which help with, forward thinking, and they're fully developed and things like that. I will work with people who are younger with parental consent, with some exceptions, things like that. I would love to start a program for college students, actually. So, like, teaching them certain self-awareness tools that are not taught in schools, that are not taught by families. I mean, I was telling a friend this recently. Our parents, they didn't have the self-awareness tools we have now, these books, right, these podcasts, they don't have that. So it's our job to do it, do it for ourselves, but also to pass it on. And I'd love to do that. But at this point, besides group coaching, which is all ages just because of the workplace, but so far it's about 24, 25 to 50.
That's awesome. This is amazing for you to be able to do this and to, speak out and say something and to find your own self-awareness, because that takes it took me 20 some years to be able to find that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I didn't have that when I was growing up, and now there are so many different resources and so many different people offering their assistance. So it's amazing. Where do you foresee this in the next 5 years?
Well, so honestly, what I hope for is that I would speak at more corporate companies higher up, and hopefully conferences and retreats and things like that. But I think that while generations are changing and workplaces are changing, and office layout is better for groupthink, and everything changes on a day-to-day basis. And I think that the only thing that doesn't change is the makeup of a person, unless they choose to. And so it's really, I'm hoping to, like, I tell people, I'm like, I'm going to go train Merrill Lynch at corporate. Like, I always tell them, like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell. So that's a goal. I also, I want to grow my podcast, and I'm hoping to create some ebooks just to help people to self-guide along the journey. Like, I am the kind of person that I won't sit in a 6-week webinar. Some people might, but I won't do it. If you give me a guide though, and I can print it out and do it at my pace, absolutely. So I'm working on those, but as far as in 5 years, I don't know. I do want a Tesla.
There you go.
But more realistically, in the next 5 years, speaking at Merrill Lynch, getting my business going, getting married, paying off my college loans.
Perfect. There you go. I love it. Well, I can't wait to see your ebooks. So keep me updated with that so I can share them, because I think that's what people do nowadays. The ebook, something that you can print off. I think it is. It's more, I don't want to say it's more valuable. I can't think of the right word, but there are some people who could sit in those, and some people who just need something to print off. And I think that's going to be perfect. So
yeah,
that's wonderful. And I can't wait for you to see your Tesla. So
thank you.
One day. But thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for being you and for doing what you do, because that's huge. I can't wait to see my daughter when she's 26. It's just going to be, it's going to be amazing. But yeah. So tablefornightcoaching.com, and keep an eye out for her ebooks and for classes, and for her at speaking at Merrill Lynch, because it's going to happen. I'm going to write it down, and it's going to happen. So
thank you so much. You are absolutely incredible. And thank you for what you're doing, creating a safe place for people to talk about what's going on. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I've never told this story out loud on a public place. So it's a first for me. And, you know, it's going to be a first for many, but it's going to be a safe place. And I think it's going to create in people the ability to hear and to listen and to receive when someone has not had the best life, you know, to be more accepting of that.
Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I will talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you for listening to the Truths We Hide podcast, created by A Wild Ride Called Life. To find out more about our mission, visit www.awildridecalledlife.com.